Okay, and action. Hello, would you mind introducing yourself and telling me what your role is at Muhlenberg campus?
Sure. My name is Beth Halpern, and I oversee community engagement.
And tell me a bit more about community engagement. I'm a really bad interviewer. Yeah,
More about
yeah. How
community
do you help students get involved?
Sure. So we see engagement in a really, you could actually get this from my interview too, in a really broad way. So there are lots of ways that students can become engaged with local communities. Some of that might be through just riding the Cardinal Shuttle and walking around downtown and seeing all the different stuff that is there, or in our own neighborhood, kind of walking around your own neighborhood and learning more about your surroundings, in addition to connecting with folks who live in local communities, and that can be through regular programming with a particular community-based organization or school, or creating relationships with folks, just people that you meet, but any ways that we can connect students with their new home.
Could you name a few of the partners that Muhlenberg students typically work with?
Sure. Our longest relationship is with Jefferson Elementary School in Allentown, and it's going to be 25 years next year. So
oh, wow.
We'll be celebrating our quarter century birthday with them next year. So that's kind of the longest standing relationship, and it's multifaceted. So we've had students who have done a lot of different types of things with Jefferson kids or staff over the years, and that ranges from working in classes that are connecting with local communities, so working within a class setting here at Muhlenberg that's connecting with something at Jefferson, to doing an after-school program, to working directly with teachers during the school day. There's lots of different ways that we've worked with Jefferson, but that's probably the most long-standing and deepest partnership. But there are lots of other organizations that we've worked with for over 10, 15 years,
wow.
Including Community Bike Works and Casa Guadalupe and a number of the other schools in the district. Phoebe we've worked with for a really long time too. So
wonderful.
lots of places.
What sort of advice or words of wisdom would you give to an incoming freshman who wants to get involved with community service about the importance of community service as a part of their Muhlenberg and Allentown experience? Sorry, that's a really long question.
That's okay. I think that I would say see Allentown as your home. You live here in Allentown, whether or not you believe it. You're actually a member of this community, so learn a little bit more about what exists here, what you can connect with, what kinds of things might be of interest to you, and how that might actually connect with your future goals could be something to think about too. I would say that students have really gained a lot with forming relationships with local community members, and whether that's a relationship to work on a particular goal together or just to learn from one another generally. I think people have really gained from those relationships that they've built over time.
So break out of the Muhlenberg bubble and you'll be a lot better off for it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
There doesn't have to be a bubble.
There doesn't have to. You're right. There should be no bubble.
You don't need to break out of anything because you actually exist in
Yep.
a place that's not a bubble.
No light of day between.
Right.
How in the past have you helped coordinate with community partners and students in terms of starting up new projects?
Usually it's based on whatever community interests or desires we hear from our partners. So if there's a particular thing that they're interested in enhancing in terms of relationships with the folks that they're working with. So that could be kids, it could be elders, it could be adults, it could be all sorts of different kinds of things. And then think about how that might fit with student goals or desires. And sometimes that comes from us too. So sometimes we'll get students or faculty that have a particular interest, and it happens to mesh with something that a local community member or partner agency is interested in. But it has to be something that's going to be of mutual benefit to everyone.
Of course. And my last question is, what sort of feedback have you gotten from our community partners and from students who have participated in the many community service projects that we have going on at Muhlenberg?
Yeah, I think our partners continually say that they love working with Muhlenberg students, and they're like, I don't know why that is. We just really love working with them, because I think part of it is that we don't require it. You know, people are there because they want to be there and because they're interested in creating relationships. I think from students, we hear that they learned a lot more. Some students say they know more about Allentown than they do about their home communities, because they've really...
I'd say that's true for me, too.
They've really made an effort to kind of learn and get to know the place where they live, and hopefully, we hope that that carries on to future communities too, whether that's going back to home and learning more about your home or if it's moving to somewhere different. I think students have really, I've seen impact on student future career plans and things that ways that they see themselves being engaged in their futures. I've seen it impact major choices and future careers and all sorts of different ways, but I think at the most basic level, a lot of it's about relationships that people are able to form across lots of different differences that we may have. So those might be socioeconomic or race or ethnic or gender. There's lots of different ways to connect across.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me.
Yeah.